So your body is only designed to do certain things. I need, in every throwing and swing sport, I need to get on my lead leg. I need my hip socket to bring my arms to release. All right, let's talk about baseball bat. Posted up, they're on the right side. They don't have a shoulder turn, right? That left arm crosses over, they get the bat up here. What do? Step, get to the left side. Oh, there's that spinal flexion again. Here I am, my shoulders are here, my hips are up here. And what is rotating? It's not their shoulders and rib cage. Boom, shift, belly button turn, hip socket, go. Here's my lateral spinal flexion. What is bringing them to the ball is the hip socket, and then they straighten the right elbow. Okay, this is the next session of my Q&A. This is answering questions that are in the comments. And one of them is for me to be able to have clarify more about the hip socket and how that hip socket works. So the first question that I think, hopefully, that you should ask yourself, or I'm asking you to ask yourself, is if you want the hips to rotate, how many different ways did our creator give us to rotate our hips? How many different ways can we rotate? So we know in golf, there is approximately a 45-degree hip turn here. A lot of the great pros, I mean, they can only go 10 degrees, but we know by and large, on average, there's about a 45-degree hip turn to the right? If they have a wide stance, it might look like this. All right, so let's say 45 degrees to the right. And then there's approximately 45 degrees to the left. That is ideal impact. I think after 22 plus years of training amateurs, most of them, their hips are square at impact and they're trying to, get the divot to come out in front of the ball. Their hips are square. This is where they set up and they're supposed to be over here. So when they're on that side, see how when I straighten my left knee, my hips automatically rotated. So that's where they need to be. So my hips just rotated. In golf, in all sports, we want them to rotate 90 degrees. The reason I say all sports is because we're talking about the hip socket. What does it do? So we do know that hip socket will rotate my hips. Is there anything else in the human body that would rotate my hips? Yeah, if you ever watched a dancer or Dancing with the Stars, that would be your obliques. So our obliques, I'm going to stabilize my lower body. Our obliques can move upper and our obliques can move lower, but that's it. It's not like my obliques have the capacity to rotate my hips 90 degrees. It can't do that. It can't do it on its own. Now watch this. I'm not going to split off. No upper rotation, no lower rotation. Torso is square. No spine rotation, and I'm just rotating. That's my hip socket. So when the hip socket does it, this is what's critical, is it's going to take my entire torso with me. It's not just going to take my hips. It doesn't work that way. If your hip socket is rotating, it's taking all of these with you. The spine, the whole torso is going to go the direction that the hips are going. That's how it works. So in the golf swing, we've got the easiest swing would be a 45-degree rib cage turn. Everyone can make a 45-degree rib cage turn. Everyone. I don't care if you're 100 years old, you can do that. And then shift to the right. Why do we shift to the right? Because I'm taking the femur, setting it dead center in the ball and socket, so you can easily do what? 45 shoulder. Now I'm going to make a 45-degree hip turn to the right. Oh, back's to the target. That's like the easiest way to get your back to the target. I used to say all the time, clients would say, oh, I went and took this TPI test and they told me I didn't have the flexibility to get my back to the target. I mean, that's like so impossible, because if you go 45-degree shoulder, shift to the right, 45-degree hips, 45 plus 45 is 90, your back is to the target. That shouldn't be a golfer on the planet that cannot get his back to the target. If you can't, you got a bad motor pattern, and that's what this channel is all about, is to help you learn how to do it correctly. So that's all I have. I have two places. I can use my obliques, which is limited, and I can use my upper, or I can use hip socket. So those are the two options that we have. The reason the hip socket is so important is just standard in sports. And instead of just watching this video, what I want you to do, I need you to stand up and do it. Otherwise, you're not testing what I say. I'm not expecting anybody that listens to my videos to believe what I say. In fact, that is foolish to believe what I say. My videos are designed for you to get up off of your chair and actually do it. Walk yourself through the motions. See if I'm not telling you the truth. This is not rocket scientist stuff. It's very fundamental. So let's talk about what we talked about before. So that shift and that belly button is moving to the target. I'm going to throw a ball. I'm going to throw a football. I'm going to first shift my weight back to my right leg. And then my arm's going to come back to throw the ball. Then I'm going to shift my weight to my lead leg. Now watch, I haven't moved my arm yet. And I'm going to rotate the hip socket. Here's my plumb line. My elbow and my shoulders right over my hip, right here. And then I throw the ball. Shift, hip socket, throw. And at any time I start throwing too soon, or I try to throw off this, off my back leg, and I don't go to the front leg, or what if I go to the front leg? Here's my belly button. I'm going to go to the front leg, and I'm not going to rotate my hip. Like nobody throws the ball that way. Everybody goes right, step, belly button your target, arm goes. And the arm can't go before. So here's the point. What brought my arm, let's say I got a football. What brings my arm from here? Right now, my arm is completely abducted away from center. In golf, we never get there. We want our arms to stay here. When you're throwing a ball, it's going to get here. How does this arm get all the way to here? Right? It's the hip socket. I'm not moving my arm at all. Can you see that? Very important that you understand the hip socket is what brings us to release. That's what gives us power. So let's talk about pitching. Here, right? Left leg, or their leg goes out. Oh my gosh, spinal flexion, spinal lateral flexion. And then what do? But remember, who knows where their arm is, depending on how flexible. So as soon as they step, I want you to watch their belly button. Turn, 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 arm goes. It's not, I'm going to try to pitch off my back leg, or I'm going to get onto my left leg and I'm going to pitch without hip rotation, then that becomes all shoulder. So your body is only designed to do certain things. I need, in every throwing and swing sport, I need to get on my lead leg. I need my hip socket to bring my arms to release. All right, let's talk about baseball bat. Posted up, they're on the right side. They don't have a shoulder turn, right? That left arm crosses over, they get the bat up here. What do? Step, get to the left side. Oh, there's that spinal flexion again. Here I am, my shoulders are here, my hips are up here. And what is rotating? It's not their shoulders and rib cage. Boom, shift, belly button turn, hip socket, hip socket, hip socket, go. Right elbow straightens. So watch again, step. And as they shift, because their belly button is pretty much square, their arms crossed over, they load the right side, they're standing up straight, and they shift. Here's my lateral spinal flexion. What is bringing them to the ball is the hip socket, and then they straighten the right elbow. So you can look at hockey or any sport, that's just how we move. No one would throw, release a golf club, release a baseball bat, release a tennis racket. Well, in tennis, sometimes you have to, the ball is moving. Purposefully, while the weight's back on the back leg, or try to do that without rotating the hip socket to actually take and bring the whole torso around. So let me just review that real quick, showing you golf, which you already know. Okay, so here I am. I am not going to unwind my shoulders or hips purposefully. In other words, that my swing thought is not to do this, right? I'm going to take my lower body and go left, straighten my left knee. I'm coming from the inside when I do that. No doubt about it. If my lower body goes, there's my lateral flexion. And then as the hip socket turns, I'm going to straighten my right elbow. Boom, boom. So it's that timing those up. So whether that elbow is slightly bent through impact and it doesn't actually straighten out until after impact, that's not even relevant. It's learning to know that it's the right elbow needs to straighten and you work it down towards the ground. So if you're catching the ball before it's all the way straight, it doesn't matter. You're still going to straighten it, and that is the goal. You can be straightening it through that impact zone. So hopefully that clarifies the hip socket and how natural it is for us to use it. And so hopefully I won't get any more ridiculous comments saying, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like,